to keep our credit and debit details secure. But with banks reluctant to accept that the system just might have flaws, where does that leave you if you think that somebody else has been using your card to withdraw your cash? Eve Russell was absolutely sure she'd been a victim of fraud, but I'm afraid her bank just didn't agree. Four little numbers to keep your bank details safe. Since 2003, we've been using chip and PIN to make payments. And the four-digit code that's used to authorise these must be used, or your purchase simply won't go through. Chip and PIN has significantly reduced credit card and bank fraud, and the banks repeatedly insist it's foolproof. But one person who definitely wouldn't agree is Eve Russell. She's had a lengthy dispute with Barclaycard, which started back in August 2010, when she queried a new credit card number on some literature that they sent her.
I phoned Barclaycard up, and I was told it was my new card. I said, "What new card? I don't know anything about new cards." And they said the card that I ordered, because I phoned up and ordered a new card. I said, "No, I didn't." The story Barclaycard was told that I, or someone pretending to be me, was out in a bar in London, had too much to drink, and lost their card, so they needed a new one. This is according to Barclaycard, obviously. And I said it wasn't me.
Eve was adamant it wasn't her who'd ordered it. But in any case, a new card was out there somewhere in her name. And although it had a different number, Barclaycard said the PIN was identical. Eve was baffled.
I thought it was just a mistake, you know, maybe the wrong card number, the wrong Evelyn Russell. I just couldn't believe what they were telling me. I mean, how could it be possible? I have my card. I did not order a new card, I did not receive a card, and I did not spend anything on a card other than the original card that I still have in my possession.
Whoever rang to order the card gave one wrong answer to Barclaycard's security questions, Eve's age on her next birthday. But for some reason, that wasn't picked up, allowing them to successfully order a new card. And Eve thinks the bank should have also picked up on another big clue that something was amiss.
In 1 month, whoever got my card spent £15,000. My normal spending pattern is roughly £50, £60 a month on my mobile phone bill. That's all, not £15,000. And I only have a £10,000 limit. Barclaycard state they will monitor irregular spending. This is worse than irregular spending. This is somebody just going out for a good jolly for £15,000 on a £10,000 limit. Totally different from however I've used my card. And I've been a Barclaycard customer for over 20 years. And Barclaycard should have flagged this.
As Eve continued to protest, Barclaycard produced a somewhat grainy photograph of the door the courier had delivered the new card to. But it wasn't Eve's front door. And although Barclaycard said the card went to a neighbouring address, her nearest neighbour said they didn't receive it. But that wasn't the worst of it. Despite having watertight alibis to prove she wasn't present when the new card was being used, Barclaycard said she must have been, because the correct PIN had been used. So they insisted that Eve pay back all the money that had been spent on the card, well over £15,000.
It's like a nightmare that you can't wake up from. You know, what else can you do? How can you prove you're innocent when you're told even if your card had got delivered to Scotland and the PIN was used, you would still be liable?
Eve's case is surprising because in cases where banks refuse to refund disputed payments, they are now supposed to be able to provide evidence that the customer is to blame, either through fraud or negligence, for example, letting someone know your PIN number.
Since 2009, the law has given people additional rights to say that even in circumstances where a PIN number was used, that is not proof that the customer themselves authorised the payment. You have to have much greater evidence that somebody was acting fraudulently or perhaps grossly negligently before a bank can refuse to reinstate a payment. The bank have got to come up with very good reasons and indeed some evidence to prove that you were either negligent or fraudulent in the way in which you'd used your card. They can't simply say, we're not going to repay you. And if you do feel that your bank has acted unfairly in that way, then you ought to go to the Financial Ombudsman Service and let them sort it out.
Well, Eve did just that. And in October 2011, more than a year after the trouble began, the Ombudsman recommended that Barclaycard wipe off all the disputed debt, remove any adverse information from her credit file and provide her with compensation, which they've now done, as well as offering to contribute to her costs. Barclaycard told us they're sorry for their incorrect initial decision and indeed any distress caused. They say this is a fraud case which involved an unusual pattern of transactions which were carried out using Eve's PIN. Now, they claim that Eve gave them contradictory information about the records that she kept of her PIN, but they now accept that she was not knowingly involved in the fraudster obtaining it. But while her battle may be over, Eve is furious about what she's had to go through.
I feel terrible about the whole situation. It's left me feeling emotionally drained. I mean, it's been an absolute nightmare of a year. Very, very bad. And you know, I really thought it would all end last year, but it takes so long. It's left me absolutely dreadful.